Yo, what's going on, Fit Fam? It's
Yo.
man. I was about to do my intro for my videos. Okay, I'm gonna do that again. I'm sorry. Hey, what's going on, Nashville Fit Fam? I am D. Jarrell Webb, and welcome to another episode of Nashville Fit Magazine podcast. I'm here with the one only.
I am the Sav, because he said the Jarrell Webb. I am the Sav. Savannah Hill.
Sav, baby.
That's the
and
one.
Today's episode is brought to you by Treehouse Recovery, Tennessee's one and only drug and alcohol recovery center. Not the one and only, but they're the best.
The holistic.
Holistic. Forgot that part.
Okay.
But
That's okay.
I just found out as well that they also help military reacclimate into society through fitness. So I think
That's
it's
so
a
cool.
pretty dope facility.
Yeah.
And I think you guys should check it out. If you're struggling with addiction or you want to help someone who has struggled with addiction, I think that's your place to check in with. Yeah?
Yeah.
How
I'd
you
say
been,
so.
homie? You
I've
good?
been good. I've been real good.
Yeah, been real good.
Been goody.
Been good?
Yeah, as we said.
New
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
I
we'll
like
start
it.
throwing that in. And we are here today with a friend named Joe Adams. Thank you for being here today, Joe.
course.
And
Thanks
we're going
for
to
having
get, absolutely. We're going to get our conversation started today with the Basket of Debate, sponsored by our friends with Freshie, the sparkling tequila seltzer. It's delicious. And before fall rolls around the corner and when fall rolls around the corner, it's a great way to refresh and get litty and goody and all that good stuff. Go ahead and grab one out of
get
the basket
litty
of debate,
and
Joe.
goody.
Let's get this thing rolling.
All
What do we
righty.
got?
Should socks be worn with sandals?
Absolutely
Wow, I'm
not.
literally wearing them right now. So, yep.
Those aren't sandals, though. Those are slides.
With
Yeah, these are my
yes.
recovery
With slides, yes.
With sandals, no.
With sandals, no.
What's the difference?
Because it like pulls the cloth up in your toe. I don't know.
Oh,
It's just
those
a
kind. Oh,
weird-
like flip flops.
No, flip flops are flip flops.
Okay, right. That's
and
what I
then
would say.
you have on slides.
Slides. Okay.
Sandals are like what
Oh, like
Jesus
chacos.
wore.
I have those.
Like
I
the
don't wear them with
straps
socks.
and everything. Do you wear socks with those?
No, I'm
Oh,
gonna say no
just-
socks.
Just
with
toes
sandals.
out, right? Like unless you're like 60
Yeah,
and you
Yeah.
just an old
got
dad,
some New
old
Balance
granddad.
sandals.
I knew a friend that would never wear socks with any sandals because he said that he was like, y'all are gross because you be getting stuff on your toes and whatnot. I'm like, dude, you gotta let this stuff breathe.
You gotta let
every
your
once in a
feet
while.
breathe every
Yeah.
now. Especially
I
like
feel like
if
you get-
work
you know.
out or you
Yeah,
know,
you're
have
sweating
wear
all up in
shoes
there
all the
anyway.
time. Yeah, like you gotta let the bunions breathe.
That's
man.
me
Yeah.
all summer, flip flops and short shorts.
Flip flops and short shorts. That's your thing.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I always say, if you got legs, show them off, especially if you're a guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like I feel like it's a badge of honor to be able to wear like some 4 or 5 inch shorts
Here's my question.
I'll go
as
for
a
2.5.
guy, you know?
2.5?
Because girls, we all already do it,
Those
you
are
know?
underwear, bro. Those
I mean,
are.
they got a liner in them. They got the underwear inside, and then they just
I don't think
You
I
said
can.
2 inches?
at 2.5 inches.
I don't
Well,
think-
I need
don't
to
think
shop
I
where
can
you're
make
shopping.
two. I don't think I can make it with
Sophie,
2 inches.
Ranger
How do you
fans.
sit with those, bro?
Okay.
Sophie shorts.
I know
How
what
do you
I'm
sit
doing
with
on
2 inch shorts
Amazon.
on?
Like I said, it's got the liner in
Got
it.
the
Later.
liner? Keeps
Yeah,
you-
I mean they ride up. More people are going to be seeing a lot of thigh, but you got to.
Yeah, but it keeps everything
what
where
you
it needs
want,
to be.
though.
Never had any slippage?
No,
Show
No?
them
no, the
quad.
liners
Okay.
save it. Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
that would be my concern. I was
Yeah.
like just sitting here with it on my thigh, like, yeah, Sav,
Yeah.
so, and she's like,
I always keep the
Close
fanny
enough,
pack
like-
on to be safe, though.
Just to make
Fanny
sure.
pack gives me a little cover. So
Well,
Sav, question for you.
what's up?
Talking about short shorts. I know this has nothing to do with your department, but I'm interested in your
I'm
opinion.
about it. Hit me.
Do women like legs on men?
I do.
Like to see a guy
I
with a
can't
nice
speak
pair of
for
legs?
all women. I think if you in the fitness sense, men who don't skip leg day, because I don't think that's so much of a problem anymore, but it still happens. And I feel like a lot more men skip leg day. Correct me if I'm wrong, because y'all are guys. You
Yeah.
probably spend more time knowing about guys. But I feel like a lot less females skip leg day because we're like,
That's all you do is
we got
legs.
them childbearing hips and
Yeah.
it feels good, you know, like we feel powerful. And I hear it from countless clients. And then men prefer to train upper body, and if you're woke, you train both genders because you need balance.
Yeah.
So I think if you're a guy and you got some legs, you got to show them off. Don't wear those basketball
That's what I'm
shorts,
talking
because
about.
basketball
Yeah.
shorts looks like you're hiding something.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I'm just gonna assume that you skip leg day.
We call them the
Know what I mean?
hoochie daddy shorts.
The hoochie daddy
Hoochie
shorts.
daddy shorts.
Okay.
And apparently
It's
Joe
probably
is
weird if I call him
the ultimate hoochie daddy.
That's all I do.
Because
That's all I
he has
hoochie daddy.
two. I'm still.
Yeah,
2
I
inches?
feel like you should.
Those are like boy shorts, bro. Like that's what like my wife wears.
But he's got the legs.
like 2-inch shorts.
He's got some.
Do you work out in them?
Trees.
Oh yeah, I work out. I mean, I got my own gym, so there's
Yeah.
a lot of freedom there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty. Half the time I'm just in those and no shirt, barefoot. And I'm like, hey,
having a good time.
yeah,
Man.
yeah.
Wow.
So it's just
Ladies,
all
you
me.
can find his gym.
Right.
located-
The address is.
I'm taking
no.
on some clients.
Yeah, right. Hey, listen, Joe, man, we're gonna get into your story. And as always, we like to start with like the origin. Let's talk about just where you're from. Kind of talk about your upbringing a little bit before we get to all the things that you're doing now. Let's just start with the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. So I was born in Tampa, Florida.
Another Floridian, Florida boy.
Yeah. But I don't remember it much. Spent most of my life in Georgia, then North Carolina. Got two amazing parents. They're still together. I'm very blessed to have that. Because the older I get, the more of a rarity that is, to be honest.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm very, very fortunate to have such awesome parents that are together, and I'm close to them too. So they're the best. And then got a little sister about a year and a half younger than I am. We tried to kill each other a couple of times growing up, but now we're really close now. I mean, we might cuss each other out sometimes, but
Yeah.
I love her to death. She's solid. Moved around. Grew up playing sports, was an athlete as well, played football and all that. And then I went to college. I tried college out. So I graduated high school in North Carolina, a small town called Pilot Mountain. I don't know if you know the show, Andy Griffith
Name
show.
for a town.
Mayberry. Yeah, I'm from that area.
Is
So
that where really?
yeah. So that's right.
Was that what it was like? Then?
I mean, it's small. It's small. I mean, it's grown since then.
Okay.
It's not black and white anymore, but yeah, it's still a small town area for sure. You know what I'm saying? But so yeah, I went to college, and I thought I was gonna walk on at some point, because it's crazy. So I actually cheerleaded too. So I got on the competition team. So my junior year
In college?
so my junior year in high school, the
Okay.
girls were like, come cheerlead. And I was like, no, it's for sissy boys,
Yeah, but have
And
you ever
then-
seen Cheer?
And then
It's
my senior
intense.
year, I saw my buddies were doing it too on the football team, and I was like, screw it, let's do this.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
Athleticism.
Yeah, and we
Mhm.
I could do all kinds of stuff. I was throwing girls in the air, ended up having a job, went to nationals, ended up having a job this summer I graduated being a cheer instructor at camps, at UCA camps.
Sick.
And then so I had opportunities to go cheer at different spots. Ended up going to the school called Gardner Webb in North Carolina. And I started off as a pretty good student, and then 2 weeks in, like someone was like, "Hey,
yeah,
like 2 weeks in, someone was, hey, you want to smoke?"
I don't think you started off as a pretty good student. Then.
Well,
I'll be honest with you.
the first 2 weeks I gave her crap, right? And then I guess okay.
About it. Never mind.
Like,
Okay, let's just hit it. Yeah, rough start. Okay, my intentions were to do well.
Right, I got you, brother.
So and someone was like, "Hey, you want to go smoke some weed?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool." And next thing you know, that just became a daily habit. And then within a short time frame, I just started popping pills, Xanax, all that stuff. Used to hang out with this dealer in town a lot. Was doing stuff for him in order to, because I didn't have much money. I was like, "Hey, what can I do to get some pills?" And next thing you know, I'm snorting like 8 at a time. I mean, it was just like I just spiraled out of control. I didn't know what I want to do with my life. I felt like a disappointment. And I just was like, let's numb it. This is pretty fun. Let's just be high all the time. And shortly after, go through a whole school year, I realized I was like, man, I'm about to fail all these classes. And I was just like, dang, I'm really jacking up. And I felt bad because my parents were taking care of me to go to school and everything. So I was just like slapping them in the face with the opportunity. And I just like a spoiled brat, man. And so one day I just like, I don't know, I looked at myself in the mirror in the dorms, and I was just all sloppy looking. And I just looked at this guy and I was like, man, I hate you. And I never remember that moment. And I just like left that person there in the mirror. And I called my best friend from my hometown. I was like, dude, I'm going to a military recruiter. And shortly after, I was in the Air Force recruiter's office,
Wow.
signing a contract, ready to take off and do that. And then, so I joined the Air Force, got stationed in Panama City. I was the F-22 weapons guy. So I worked on F-22s, loaded all the missiles and stuff, worked on all the weapons systems. Did that for 6 years, and that was a pretty crazy road. It was a good time. I was stationed in Panama City, Florida. So I guess when you're told 19, you're an adult, and we're gonna put you in Panama City. I'm like, hey, let's go crazy. So spring break was always.
I had a couple wild spring breaks in Panama City.
Oh man, it was nuts.
I blacked out there a few times.
Yeah, I blacked out there like every weekend. So
like, me too.
I didn't see the part on their military contract that said drink all the time, but that's part of it. No, but so I did that for a while. It was a crazy time. I don't know how I never got arrested, but I had a good career there. And I got deployed. I ended up getting a Harley. So, obviously the motorcycle is a big part of my story. So I ended up getting this Harley, and I got back, and it was like kind of custom built how I wanted it because, I was deployed and single. So I was like, I'm paying off my car and I'm getting me a cool ass Harley, when I get home.
I mean,
and
I think like that too.
Yeah, I was like, I really want one. And then, it's crazy because I got engaged like not long after I got back from deployment, and fitness really took off for me because when I joined the military, I really started working out, and then I got deployed, and all I had time to do was work and work out and eat, and so I really started like understanding nutrition and everything. Because before that, it was like, all right, get off work, go hit the gym, eat, and start drinking beer, probably have some cigarettes on top of that, and then when I got deployed, I really just started like honing in on things, learning about nutrition and like why to train what. And then I started taking it real serious. So I got back and I was just really on point. I was running every day. I was training all the time. I was meal prepping. It was just it was a totally new thing. And shortly after that, I met a girl, ended up getting engaged, and I competed once. I did one bodybuilding show, but I think it was just because thinking about where I was, on drugs, I was like, I just want to do this for me. Like, I don't know how this is the first thing I've really been disciplined and consistent with. And, I'm not planning on going to win a medal or anything like that. I just want to see what I can do myself. So I did that.
Good for you.
One and done. I didn't have aspirations to be a pro bodybuilder or anything. No, I didn't. But I mean, it was the best I had ever looked at, up until that point.
That's awesome.
And I was just proud. I was like, man, I'm capable of a lot more than I realized. And, so moving forward, I was engaged, popped that question, and then like all of a sudden red flags were popping up left and right. I had to call that off. I was like, man, I could see my future. I'm going to be still in the military, probably gonna have some kids. I'm going to be, I don't know. I could see just myself being really unhappy there. Called that off, moved in with my uncle at the time, got introduced to like motorcycle clubs. So I was around that a lot. And that was just a crazy life too, because I'm in the military, but I'm also hanging around with, some crazy clubs.
Yeah.
If you know anything about that.
Yeah.
And that was just quite the experience.
Talking about like Sons of Anarchy type clubs.
Yeah, but not TV. Yeah,
but the real
life stuff.
Thing?
Yeah. And I was like,
I don't know how deep you can go into that, but how was that world?
I don't know too much about that world. Yeah.
To be honest, it's like I look at it totally different. I've always had an appeal towards the brotherhood thing. I found like brotherhood to be just important in general. I think a lot of men lack it, and I think, that's why you have men's retreats and stuff now. When guys get older, they're like, wow, I really need that, because I think brotherhood's extremely important. You're not going to sit at home with your wife and just be super masculine towards her. You need your guys to do that with.
Yeah, for sure.
And so there's always that appeal. And of course they're like, screw society, we're going to do what we want, and brotherhood. And I'm like, motorcycles. I'm like, hell yeah, this is awesome. This is all my favorite things in one.
I found my tribe, baby.
Yeah. And then, moving in, I just kind of saw some, the other sides of it. And I was like on the fence, and actually almost like stayed there just to be a part of that. But then I ended up moving to Tennessee. My family moved to Mount Juliet while I was in the military, and I just loved it up here. I love being close to my family. I'm real close to them, like I said. And moved up this way and started dating some girl. and going to MTSU. I started MTSU and dating some chick. Well, she like cheated on me. I was like, that's cool.
That's why you refer to her as some chick. She
Yeah.
deserves that.
I love He's like, I got engaged, but that doesn't really matter.
more.
And then I started dating some random chick.
Yeah, and
but
I bring these up
She
because
cheated. She sucks.
I bring up these relationships and stuff only because they are very significant pieces of like
your story,
everything that led me to where I'm at
I'm
today.
here for it.
And so like it's best at times not to bring that up, but I find it valuable.
No,
but like because
it,
of that, you
it
know,
matters.
I was like, all right, well, I'm done here. Like, thanks. You know, even her ex that the guy she on me with, I was like, hey man, just thanks for exposing that now.
Yeah.
Because you saved me a lot down the road. I wasn't.
You love hard, brother?
Oh yeah.
You love hard?
I love hard as
hell.
hell.
I feel like I got that feeling from you as you started talking about your story.
Yeah. Quick or hard? Well, that do you love?
I definitely
complete that sentence.
I think both, man. I'm a really like just deep loving person.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, I mean,
like I don't fall quick, but I fall hard. Like once I love you, Like but it takes me a minute to get there. I have a best friend who like falls quick. He calls quick and hard. He's like, bro, I just met my wife again. He's like,
those are the friends you're like, oh please.
He's like, bro, last month it was a different like. So yeah, I was just curious, man.
I do have a track record of doing that when I was younger.
Yeah.
You know, but I did have a friend tell me, he's like, you know, why do you always fall in love? And I was like, man, because at least I don't become jaded and, you know, run the risk of never actually giving it a chance.
That's real.
You know, and I'd much rather get my heart broken than miss out on something.
Really?
You know, it's really valuable. So, and the thing is, those heartbreaks build you.
Yeah,
you know, they strengthen you. They give,
you grow from
suffering forces growth. That's one thing I always thought, or one thing I've always believed in, you know, because it really does. You just got to look at it that way.
Yeah.
And, you know, and because like she did that, my buddy just hit me up. He was like, hey, you want to go to Asia for 4 months? I'm like, I just started school. Let me think about it. And then like a couple of days later, I was like, let's do it.
Way to Asia.
So we flew to Hong Kong like a few months after that, man. And we went to like Hong Kong, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Singapore, Bali.
Wow.
I spent a lot of time in Thailand too, but yeah, just did this big trip and I was just like free. I wasn't worried about my obligations. I was just living life, you know, just enjoying every freaking moment, waking up in a hostel and being like, oh, let's just catch a ferry to this island, you know, and just having this really wild experience. And I don't think it's really uncommon for people, especially from the South.
100%.
You know, I'd be like, I'd tell somebody at the gym, they'd be like, what the hell? You gonna get terrorized out there? I'm like, hey, I mean, chill out, guys. You know, these people, they're like, they think I'm doing something wild.
What are you going over there for?
I'm like, I'm not getting like, I'm not a Navy SEAL getting
deployed. Just you going to Vietnam? Like, what's going on?
Like,
they hate us over there. Like, nah, bro, they don't care. It's cool.
But
I've heard wonderful things about going over to like Thailand and Bali, and
it's the coolest experiences. Like the people there are, you know, they don't have much, but they're so happy. You know, and I love seeing that because, you know, unfortunately in like America right now, people have a lot and they're so unhappy. And it's just this weird imbalance of like how much, you know, the material world is really like taking control of our society as opposed to them. Like they just need the people around them and like some good food and they're pretty chilled out. You know, and it's just something that just blows my mind. And I wish most people could see that and experience it. Just to be a little bit more grateful for what they have, because your little bit is probably more than they'll ever have. If that makes sense. So it was just cool to just experience the culture and just get around those people. And you can do whatever you want for pretty damn cheap.
Yeah.
So it was nice just getting to, you know, get a plate of pad thai for like 80 cents in the US, you know what I'm saying? Like on the street. And I'm like, yeah, this is nice, you know? And
I would have gained all the way. I love pad thai. I would have just been over there eating for no reason.
Man,
like,
that's what I was doing.
This was 80 cents too? Yeah, give me that one too. Yeah.
That was the
exchange rate. I mean, that's what I noticed in Costa Rica too. Is like driving through the mountains, like there's all these little towns and they have like tin roofs, you know, like they have nothing. And every parent is like walking their kid to school with their hands held, and like they're just, it's very wholesome. And like if you talk to people, they're very friendly and they're very nice and they're very family oriented. And then, you know, you're in this beautiful country and there's so much to offer just by being there. That you forget about money, forget about popularity, forget about social media, and like it really kind of refocuses your values and what you, so
yeah, you really do value their mindset to a whole nother degree. You know what I'm saying? Because at any point, like our world could go to those conditions. You know, how would people react?
Well, who's going to be left standing if that happens?
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, it could be good though, because it could force people to really like regear their mindset and like, look around and be like, well, shoot, I know what matters.
A lot of things that we think matter don't matter. Yeah,
that's a fact.
So come back from Asia.
Yeah.
Where do we go then? What happens?
Yeah. So had an old friend, you know, took him around the motor, like moved him this dude, took him. He actually had a brand. He got a motorcycle. I convinced him to get one. And then I brought him around the whole motorcycle club world, and he just took off guns blazing with it. And he's still there somewhere. I was just like, it got to a point, I don't know. We were also living a pretty wild freaking lifestyle, you know, downtown every night, you know, hauling ass on our Harleys from Mount Juliet and back. Like, it just got too crazy. And I was like, you know what, man, I'm recognizing some patterns, you know, This reminds me of my past. I just need to I'm just going to ride my motorcycle by myself. I'll figure it out. But, end up meeting a girl. That was a really good girl. And I was like, well, that's what I need. You know, someone help me get, you know, kind of in a better path. You know, someone I could share that life with. And, you know, but I try to change myself too much for someone else.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, something's like, I need to chill out. Like, I'm going to be what this person expects me to be. So I tried to do this crazy 180 for them. And then it just got worse, you know, I found like, you know, and then I was like, started to lose myself. And in the midst of it, I came back to myself and I started to strengthen myself. I found my spiritual path, you know, and all these things. And like, I really honed in on that. And I was like, but there was a lot of tension there. And I don't think this person really liked who I was. I think it was really who I could be.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's still in me, you know, and I'm always going to be different by nature. And I can't force myself to fit anybody else's mold. So long story short, you know, so it was a little rocky there, you know, off and on for a while. And then moving forward, 2018 comes around, and I had ridden my motorcycle down to MTSU. I lived in Hermitage at the time. I rode to Hermitage. It was a pretty chilly day, and it's crazy because I remember taking a picture of my bike and putting the temperature on my story. And I said, just because of the temp, I was like, "This is a bad idea." That's what I said on the caption.
Wow.
And little did I know. And so I rode my bike down to MTSU, and she had gone out of town for a girls' trip, and I had a couple buddies flying in that evening. And I got out of class early, and I was like, well, I'm just going to cruise around for a little bit. And so I was over by Cason Academy. I don't know if y'all know what that is in
Very
Murfreesboro.
familiar with MTSU. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I went there.
There's a road called Cason Lane, and there's a school called Cason Academy right there. Man, and so I'm just cruising, and this is like the one day I decided to go to the speed limit. You know, I'm like, because I rode pretty hard. And but I'm going through a residential area. It's 35, and I've got these apes on my bike. So I'm just cruising through, and I get to the light, get to the intersection. My light's green, and I look to the left of me, and I see a car probably from here to that pool, so probably like 30 feet away or so. And I just said, well, I can't say the word, you know, but I got to keep it PG-13. But I just looked at it and said, you know, and immediately my brain shut off. It's like my body knew, like, yo, you're about to get wrecked.
Yeah.
And so we hit corner to corner. I fishtailed into the side of the car, went into the windshield, and then it launched me. I landed exactly 90 feet away in that field across from the school. Wow. And then I woke up in this field. I look up and I see my left femur sticking out of my leg. And I just put my head back down. I was like, oh God. I was like, this is
your femur.
I said a number of things. I was like,
hardest bone in your body to break.
Yeah.
Just if you don't know where your femur is, it's the top of your leg.
Yeah.
And that is a big bone.
Yeah.
Big, strong bone.
Yep.
Oh my
I got a nice little hole in my leg.
I cannot imagine.
And I put my head back down. I was like, oh God. And this cop comes running up. He's like, hey man, you're in a bad wreck. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. You know, like, obviously.
You think so, brother? Yeah.
So he's like, don't move. You know, he's asking me a bunch of questions. And it's crazy because it's all so vivid. Like it's wild how much I remember of all of it, but it's like it wasn't real. It's like you get a cut scene in like a game or something, and you like wake up in the first person and it's all blurry. And I'm like, that's kind of what it was. So I was like, I was in this whole scene or dream because I didn't feel an ounce
Like
of
a
pain.
simulation.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just like there. And anyways, there's all this chaos going on around me, right? He's like, I called you a life flight. And I was like, guess that's bad. I don't know. And I'll never forget. I remember them loading me up on the stretcher. And I was like, am I going to die or something like that? You know, almost trying to humor it. And they said, sir, we're going to try to keep that from happening. And that's when it all just got
like,
real.
No guarantees there.
And man, that's when it's like, I was like, shit, this is real, dude. And I got on this helicopter. And I remember just closing my eyes and I started thinking about like my niece and my mom and my dad and my sister. And I was like, Joe, you can't go. And so I just kept my eyes closed and I was like, you gotta stick with it, boy. You know, you got to keep rolling. And yeah, and it was crazy. I mean, that part's always very real. And it's always hits me pretty hard to think about. Like I get like a full body chill, but it was nuts. And then I had this wild little vision. I won't go into that. And then next thing you know, I woke up in the hospital and I'm hooked up to all this stuff up in ICU. And, you know, I see like family and stuff like that. And these doctors just start flooding in. They're like, you should be dead. Like, we don't know how you made it here. I mean, all these things. Right. And then I learned of the list of injuries. And so as far as I was concerned, I broke my leg, but I had so I'm working from the top down.
Wow.
I had a TBI. I had an aortic aneurysm that was bleeding in my right lung, which was also
That's why you
collapsed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the reason he called the life flight is because he recognized my chest was soft. And so he recognized I had a collapsed lung. That's why he called the life flight. And I'm
wow.
like, and I actually,
was he just a cop?
So he was actually a Marine and he was an SRO officer at this school.
Yeah.
And he happened to be out in his car getting something.
That's
and he
like
heard
the
the
off
accident.
chance, like that he had that knowledge.
Crazy.
In that area.
It's something like that. I forget, but he just happened to be getting something out of his car and he heard the accident happen. So he ran over. So just the chance that he happened to be out there and it was him that responded. And I actually since then, like when I could start walking again, I went and saw him and I remember just hugging him. And I just bawled my eyes out. I was like, thanks, you know? And anyways, but yeah, so he recognized that my chest was soft and that's what got me, you know, in the life flight. But anyway, so yeah, the aortic aneurysm, which most people die from that pretty much immediately. And then the collapsed lung, I've lacerated like 6 organs, including like my adrenal gland, my liver, kidney, spleen, a couple more. Broke my ribs, broke a few ribs, broke my hip in 3 places. My left femur came out, my right knee, tibia, fibula, both ankles were crushed.
Literally everything in your
both
body.
Both feet were crushed. All my toes were broken. And then I got stabbed.
All of your toes.
Yep.
Wow.
And then I got stabbed with something in the groin. Like, you know, let's just say, I'm glad I had tight jeans and it was cold out. You know what I'm saying? But something stabbed me pretty high up there. Yeah. And I lost like 3 pints of blood out of that.
That was like, honestly, when you said that you broke your fibula, that was concerning. One, it's like, oh, he's going to bleed out. And 2, especially if it crushed that artery in your thigh. So I was like, okay, that was my first concern. Like, oh, he's gonna like.
I was about to the whole time you were leading up to the injury list. I was like, I wonder what was life threatening, and now we know.
Yeah,
it's very wow. God.
Yeah, you had a couple of things that were.
I mean, you can't really probably pinpoint what it was that would have killed you.
Yeah,
I get it. Like I see why the doctors walk in like, hey, bro. I don't know, but you got somebody up there that wanted you to stay here for a little bit longer.
Man, it was nuts, you know. And I was just like hearing this list, and I'm like, how the hell did that happen? Like,
I'm sure your parents were just beside themselves.
Oh yeah, my mom, like, yeah, I remember her talking about like how she got the call. Like, it blows my mind, you know. Like, and my dad was out of town for a business trip, so he had to get an emergency flight back and all this stuff. Like, I hate hearing their accounts because like it breaks my heart more. Like, screw my injuries, like I'm good, you know. But hearing like their panic and their heartbreak and like what they were thinking, like crushes me, you know, because I couldn't imagine like being like getting a call about one of them or you know my daughter or something, you know. So
my mom, we used to go to Panama City.
Yeah,
we used to rent crotch rockets and we would just ride around, and, you know, for the day or whatever. And you know, we were young, dumb. You do stupid stuff on a crotch rocket anyway, right? And so my mom saw this guy get hit on a motorcycle, right? So a truck switching lanes, didn't see the guy, didn't look over, ended up hitting them with the truck bed, right? Guy flies. My mom's in front. She just happened to look up. You know, you just happen to look up in your rearview mirror. Guy flies in front of my mom. My mom's a nurse. She calls, for whatever reason, in this moment, she pulls over and she calls me. She's bawling. I don't know what's happening. She's bawling. She's like, promise me you'll never ride a motorcycle again. I'm like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? I'm at home. Like, she's like, promise me you'll never ride again. She's like, I just saw this guy get hit by a motorcycle. And the first thing I thought about was you. And I was like, well, where are you? And she's like, I'm on the interstate. I said, did you call the police? She was like, no, let me call you back. so she literally called me before she called the police.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, like she said, she saw the news later that the guy ended up passing, right?
Yeah.
So she called me again, like, because she like literally just watched the news that night, just
that
for that guy,
die,
just
yeah.
to see. She's like, yo, you can't put me through that, right? And so, for whatever reason, I think now that I have a daughter, that's parents' biggest fear is having to like bury their child, right? And I'm the only boy, and she knew I was dumb, did a bunch of stupid stuff. So she was always thinking about like, he's gonna be the one that I'm gonna have to bury. But I can when you said this, made me think about like your mom getting that phone call. If you hear life flight in your child, automatically you think, yo, you know what I mean? Like, this is you go there mentally, like, this is it, right?
Yeah, because
and so you prepare your way, however far away you are. If that's the longest 10 minutes, longest 20 minutes of your life, trying to get to the hospital to figure out what's going on, right? Or dad is somewhere out of the state, waiting on the airplane to bring him back.
Yeah.
You know, like where his mind is, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like those things, like now, especially now you have a daughter, or even at that moment, seeing how your mom responds to seeing you alive, like, hey, don't ever do that shit to me again.
Dude, right? I'm telling you, man, and it's that's a crazy perspective. And like I said, I got a newborn daughter. She's just over 3 months, and like, I don't know.
Now you can't imagine life without her, right? Like it's only been 3 months. Yeah,
I've always had this comfortable relationship with death since then. I think about death a lot. Not in a weird like way, but like more. It's inevitable. It's part of part of the journey. But I'm like, when I go. But when I held her, and it's like I need to be here for the rest of your life. Like how do I live just long enough to be here for the rest of your life too? Like who do I got to talk to?
Right.
But because I just want to protect her. For her lifetime as well. And it's just a crazy feeling, man. And so I get it. I get what my parents felt. And so I can only imagine. But yeah, and it was a whole crazy thing. And so I was in the hospital, and it was crazy. Immediately, I just recognized it as fate. I was like, this was meant to be.
Yeah.
I was like, this was meant to, like, this is my opportunity to do something with this experience here, because I sure as hell should be dead.
Yeah. And
so I'm going to take this and use it towards my future in whatever way. And so, I just blasted through recovery. I was in ICU for a bit, went through rehab in Murfreesboro. Was just trucking through, sharing my journey. I saw like, man, I'm having like a pretty big impact on people, like they're seeing me bounce back from this, and they see my mindset, and it really hits them. People reaching out like, man, this happened to me, and just seeing your story and hearing how your attitude towards it, it's like really inspired me to like get away from this or pursue this. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. There's something here. And just kept trucking forward. This happened October 2018. I could start walking sometime in January. I had to be, stuck in a bed for a while. And there was just kind of all kinds of crazy experiences, just like having your family wipe you, as a grown man. Like I remember that was one of the hardest things to ever go through, because I'm like, I am helpless.
It's so vulnerable. Yeah.
Like, it's just like these things that really humble you. But I tell you what, the main thing they highlight is gratitude. And you're like, that's when you come back to that, and you're like, holy crap, I'm so grateful for these people. Yeah. And you realize how much you probably take it for granted prior to something like that, but yeah, I worked my way through that. And, once I could finally start walking again, I immediately got back in classes at MTSU. So I was crutching my way into class. And at the time I had aspirations of going physical therapy. And then it just hit me. I was like, man, screw doing 4 more years of college. Let's just face it. I'm gonna get this bachelor's degree.
That's also what turned me off from physical therapy schooling. Yep.
I'm gonna get this bachelor's degree, and I'm like, I'm gonna start my own thing. And so that's what birthed Relentless Pursuit. It was the mindset with it. And
tell us about Relentless Pursuit.
So Relentless Pursuit, that recovery was my Relentless Pursuit. My mom actually helped me come up with that name because I wanted to have pursuit in there. And I'm pretty sure she said the word relentless, and I was like, that's perfect. And so I went and got in touch with this trademark attorney. I got it trademarked. I was like, I'm gonna do that. And then I came up with the logo, and I got with this guy and kind of spun my idea. And so It's a there's an ancient symbol called Ouroboros. It's usually a serpent biting its tail, and it represents something infinite, something whole. But I had to have a wolf in there because wolves are always in pursuit, right? So I had him do like a wolf Ouroboros to represent an infinite pursuit, you know, something that never ends.
Okay,
That's
I see it now. I was like, maybe I'm tripping. Okay, but okay, I was like, looks like a reef, but okay, now I see it. I don't want to touch your nipple.
Oh no, go for it, man.
I see I do. I
Be my guest.
I do. I'm looking for every reason. No, I see the wolf head biting his tail. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that immediately too, once I got it, and then everything finalized, I got it like tattooed on my neck. I was like, yeah, you know, because even if the brand didn't go anywhere, I was like, well, this symbol means something.
Yeah, it means something to me. Yeah.
You know, and then moving forward, I started like coming up with ideas, and the beginning of 2020, like a week before COVID, I got all my first shirts in, and then I'd gone to like Chile for spring break. Went hiking down there, and then while I was out there, like COVID's here, you know, and people are like toilet papers flying everywhere, and I'm like, I'm considering not even going back to America right now. I'm just going to stay in these mountains and wait it out because it looks like a disaster.
That's absolutely what I would have done. Yep,
probably safer here. Yeah.
So I got back, you know, and obviously sales started off slow. People were freaking out. They were like, "Why would I buy a shirt?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't blame you, but still, I'm going to push this stuff," and but just kept rolling with it. You know, I got some money from my accident, so that helped. And then moving forward, was starting to do events, getting more inventory, build up a team, really just plugging away at events and getting the name out there, getting the brand out there. And you know, it was a really good start, you know, with everything.
Talk about so I think people are interested in you know, the mindset part of Relentless Pursuit, but also the relentless pursuit of building a brand. Right. I think those two things both coincide. Everybody wants to say, oh, I'm a brand, or I build brands, or I have, you know.
Yeah. What
whatever.
does that even look like?
What does that even look like?
Yeah.
What is what is the finished product of Relentless Pursuit? What does that look like for you? What are you in pursuit of?
So I got asked this quite a few times, like, what's your end goal with it? And I'm like, my honestly, the bigger the impact, the better. So it's really no end goal. It's like the bigger the impact we can create. Awesome. But my vision's like, it's just a constant evolving thing. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to keep growing, and all these little avenues have just kind of changed everything. I mean, you know, like, just be authentic, be yourself, put yourself out there, put out, you know, spill your heart out. And that's just what I do. That's how I get my message and my mindset with Relentless Pursuit out there. Like, I do a lot of writing and whatnot, and I put that on in posts and just keep it real with people, you know, try to offer them some kind of value that's going to apply to their life, and use this brand as kind of like a flag to like do that with, right?
Yeah.
Something that represents, because I don't want to be a fashion brand. I'm not a fashion guy. I walk around in jorts and silkies and t-shirts.
I mean, it's
you know?
fashion to me. I think you look great.
I just got my vibe, you know, but I'm not going to try to be like, ooh, let's try this thing, you know, like, it's just not me, you know, that's for other people. It's more so about what it stands for. And, but yeah, moving forward, I had the team. We were doing all the things, and you know, so you're just constantly putting yourself out there. You're dropping a lot of money on orders, selling, you know, doing all that. But it never felt like Relentless Pursuit. You know, I was like, man, it's a really strong name to have, but it doesn't feel like I'm in a relentless pursuit. You know, and of course, I had all these ideas of things I want to do. In my relationship at the time, it was like, oh, don't do this, don't do that, be safe. And but long story short, like back actually the end of 2021. I called them the wedding off like a month and a half prior to the wedding.
Woo.
And, you know, we had a house and all these things together, and it was just like really bad. And my whole world flipped upside down, man. I lost a couple $100,000 in the whole thing, because everything was in her name. So like, it's just, I lost a bunch of money, and I was just like, woof, what the hell do I do now? And I ended up actually moving to Murfreesboro, and the end of 21, like October 21. And, man, I went through it hard. I was like, what am I doing? I had a bunch of apparel, got my house, I got my dog, you know, and I'm just like depressed as shit. Like, this is the lowest I've ever been. Like the wreck, it was crazy, because the wreck, it was like, I was like, I got this, man. I didn't have any purpose. There was never a season of like, you know, I was just like, hey.
Isn't it funny how it works differently for different people, different experiences? Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just like, that was like, I knew that was supposed to happen. And it's just like the only option I had really was just to come out guns blazing, you know, and then this was just a totally different change. I was like, I had my whole life planned, you know, or like, hey, I'm gonna have kids and this and that and the other, and it's just like gone. And I knew it was necessary. It took several times I should have stepped away, but I just kept thinking, oh, well, it could be fixed. And then it got too close, and I was like, this ain't gonna get fixed. Like, we're just not the right people for each other. And
that's hard, man.
That's hard. I'm curious, bro. That alone takes big balls. I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah.
How does that? You don't have to get into any specifics,
go for it.
But how does that conversation go? Like, hey, this shit ain't working. I just want you to know. Like, I'm out.
Well, I feel like it's brave, but it's also so difficult to, like, you know, get to, like, you're trying to give it enough time and have enough conversations and do enough work. But, like, at what point, like, I have to walk away because there's attachment too, you know, after a certain amount of time, like, you're like, I really cannot be without this person, even though I know it's not right, you know?
Like the fear of hurting them. Because they're, again, especially for like women, like she's gearing up, it's a month before her wedding. She's gearing up for the best day of her life, right? You have to come and say, yeah, nah, that's not. So there's not with me, at least.
There's catalysts and things.
Okay.
So it's crazy. This is a crazy part of the story, right? Then this is just another fated thing. So I'd had several talks with some friends. I was like, I can't do this, and they're like, Joe, you got to end this. You got to have this conversation. Like, after me talking about it, you know, they're like, you need to set a day, you know, and we're gonna hold you up to it. And I was like, yeah, I got to do this. But then I'd had this conversation or tried to several times before. And it was always just like, all right, let's work this out.
We can fix it.
And you know, and I'm like, just because I have such a big heart, I'm like, we can fix it. You know, I'm a hopeless romantic. I'm like, yeah, we got this. Anything can happen. And then
you want to make sure you're not tapping out. Like, no, all right,
I'm
not quitting. Yeah,
exactly. And then so I ended up running into this girl, and like, you know, this to preface it, I didn't like hook up with her or anything, but I was at getting some beers with a buddy of mine, and he's married, has a beautiful relationship with his wife, and they got kids and stuff. And he's like, Joe, this ring's not going to fix it, dude. And I was like, you're right. And I ended up recognizing this girl that was a waitress somewhere else I was at. And I was just like, when he left, I walked over. I was like, hey, can I get you a beer? And I started talking to her. And I was like, what do you do? She was like, oh, you know, I'm at school to be a therapist. And I was like, great. I was like, I need a therapist right now. So I got some beers and I talked to this.
Little did she know.
Yeah. And I talked to her for a while, and you know, and then we
agreed to the test, baby.
Yeah. And it was just nice because there was no communication there in the relationship, right? And so it was just nice to have someone freaking listen to me that doesn't know me. And I was just like, I'm gonna let it all out. Screw it. I don't care what they think of me. And then of course exchanged information. I was like, hey, I text her like, thank you for talking to me. Let's have coffee. And we had coffee one other time. But I was going to have this conversation the following Monday because her parents were in town. I was actually going to be in the woods with my boys that coming weekend. And then it was like, all right, when you get back, you're having this chat. And so I'm like amping myself up, you know.
And the boys are amping you up too.
Yeah. And, you know, and
good friends.
Yeah. I mean, it's my brothers, you know.
They want you to do the right thing and be happy and her be happy. And
exactly. Yeah. I mean, they knew that that's what needed. I knew it too. It was just so hard for me to actually take action and do it.
It's really hard.
And so long story short, I'm on the way to the woods with my guys, and I get a screenshot from my iPad, and there was a text between me and that girl.
Oh no.
And it was like, I was like, well, shit, there's no way of avoiding this now. And
wait, what? Did she go through your phone?
She went through my iPad, my work iPad, and it was like connected to my phone.
You know, it's connected to your phone, then like your text messages go to your iPad.
I just feel like I wouldn't check Allie's phone or iPad, like
shit. Maybe there was like some intuition.
I mean, no, I wouldn't. I trust her.
You know what though?
But if it's like
she's giving me no reason.
If it's like dinging though, like because I've been.
It was up in like my office though. Like it was like she had to like go find it.
Yeah.
You know, regardless though, I didn't even really thought about that. But at the end of the day, it's like I'm glad that happened that way. Because sitting back on it, I'm like, man, had I gotten to that conversation, I still would have tried to tell. It's just a month and a half to the wedding. Like, come on, we can do this. And I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, but that kind of throws you under the bus.
Then you think about
if you're ready to get out, you don't care.
I mean, I guess I guess it doesn't matter at that
anyway,
point.
So yeah, it doesn't matter.
Did you at least explain? Like,
I did. I was like, listen, I just need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And she was convinced that I was doing something else, which, you know, I mean, in front of everybody in the world that ever watches this, like I didn't, you know. And, you know, afterward, you know, the girl and I tried to hang out, and she ended up ghosting me. And I was like, you know, I'm sorry, a little egotistical. I was like, this chick's ghosted me. Like, who do you think you are, chick?
Well, I know why you felt that way, because you spilled your heart out to this person, and like that's what you get.
But then I realized, I was like, she played her part.
So
I'm never going to talk to this girl again, but she was a necessary part of the.
Maybe she's the best
whole
therapist
thing.
in the world.
Yeah,
and
she's
she
like-
knew
She
exactly
played the
why
role.
she
She's
did
like,
that.
You know what? That should be her research. It's probably
Shout
her research
out.
project.
She's
She's
the
got like a
best.
microphone.
Yeah.
She's like, so this guy.
She's like, I'm gonna put him on a new trajectory. I know exactly what I'm doing.
But it's crazy. So that's what, honestly, like, flip things upside down. And, you know, I was in the woods with my boys. Like I said, her parents were there at home, our house. So I definitely wasn't going back to that.
Yeah.
And got back, and I remember taking as long as I could to drive. I just drove in circles, like for
That's how you know
for a
it's
couple
really- that's how you know
hours,
it's
just
really
with a dip
like,
in. And I
yeah.
was like, I can't go home.
Yeah.
And I called my mom. I was like, hey, it's about to be over. You know, I'm about to have to come to y'all's house for a couple weeks. And got home. You know, there was a lot of crying and stuff like that. It was just like, damn, like your whole world's just changing so like drastically. And yeah, and then I moved, and you know, I went through this crazy depression. I was just like, was drinking. You know, I'm a wine guy. I just drink red wine. That's
I would
that's
not
my
have
thing.
pegged you for a wine guy.
Yep, Cabernets and
Just
Pinot
sitting here
Noirs.
with a
Yeah.
mohawk
I'm a Merlot
and a
guy.
bunch of
Yeah,
tattoos.
I like
Yeah,
Merlot
I'm a
too.
Merlot
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
Merlot, yeah.
I love wine, but
Respect.
at that time I liked wine a little too much. I was drinking a couple bottles a night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you really
But
like wine.
Yeah, and I could go through a bottle like a rock star. I don't get hungover, but like
Yeah.
wine's my
Yeah,
superpower.
the wine does it. Like
Teach
a
me.
good wine won't,
My
Yeah.
won't leave
like,
you with
what?
a hangover.
Exactly, and I feel good on it, you know, and it keeps me from getting all like
Yeah.
temperamental or
But
anything. I'm
see,
just chill.
I mean, yeah.
I too, but see, I'm the opposite though. That's the thing. Like with wine, with me, I like it would have been bad. Like I turned to Drake on wine. Like
Really?
I'm emotional. Either I'm emotional,
I want to see
See,
it.
we're the
or-
opposite then.
no, or I'm like, Sav, you sure you gay? Like,
I get that. I get that from
like that's what
complete
wine
stone
is
cold
like.
sober, man.
You know,
That's funny.
I turn to like. I get yeah.
See,
Like,
I'm the
wine,
opposite.
wine sends me home. Like, all right, babe,
Okay.
hey, stay up. I'm on the way. Like, that's what
Yeah.
wine does.
That's
You know what
funny,
wine
dude.
does to me?
Yeah, that's funny.
I wouldn't know because I pass
No.
out before I have the opportunity to know. Even one glass will be like, I'm so sleepy.
Yeah,
you know?
wine. Yeah, that's why it's like wine is a date night. I'm at home
Yeah.
situation. If I'm out, I'm not drinking wine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, if there's wine, I'll drink it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I go to
no.
dinner. I'm like, hey, what kind of
Yeah, but with my
Cabernet y'all
wife,
got?
yeah. Hey, what do you have? Like, then
That,
she
yes.
knows. But if I'm like,
Supervise.
we're going out, no.
Oh yeah,
No,
and in
yeah.
most bars,
But-
they're not
but
gonna be
that's
like, hey,
just
we got a
me.
bottle of this.
But that's me. That's me in general. That's why.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I don't really drink like that either.
Yeah.
Because I get like, hey, babe, I'm on the way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, stay up.
I don't drink. I don't drink
Put
much.
the baby to
on-
bed. I'm on the way. Like,
I'm on the
it's
way.
like 9:30. He's like, you
pacifier
leaving?
in.
Yeah, bro. I gotta go. Wifey gets sleepy around 10:30. I gotta get home.
Baby
before-
needs help. Yeah, I mean, and the baby. Honestly,
The
I've used
baby's
that
the
already.
best, bro.
Best excuse.
Nobody can argue baby and wife, no matter what it is. If I
Nope.
say, hey, I got the baby, they're like, oh, okay, never mind.
I
Yeah.
don't
Hey,
remember that.
let me ask my wife if I can. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, like.
Yeah, no
you
one's
don't-
gonna
if you
talk
don't-
shit
if
about
you-
your
yeah,
baby.
If you don't want to
Yeah.
do something, just
You
be like,
can't
yeah.
go, dude.
Yeah.
God,
Let
your
me ask
baby?
my wife real quick. Now my wife, she's caught on to. She's like, bro, just tell me you don't want to go. I was like, nah, it's easier.
That's
If
so
I
funny.
I
just
don't
say-
feel bad.
Yeah,
saying
because
baby.
you're gonna say like, if I say, hey,
You explain yourself.
let's
like,
grab drinks, and I'm like, let me talk to the wife first. And she's like, just tell him you don't want to go. Like,
you have to
nah.
go through the motions
Yeah.
of like saying
Because
no.
if I say I don't want to go,
That's
then they're
why
gonna say,
I'm like,
bro,
Yeah.
come on,
saying
stop being-
no is
stop
not
acting
as
like
easy
that,
as
yeah.
people like
Oh,
just
the
learn
baby's
to
sick,
say
you
no.
know?
It's
They're
like
oh
sick.
shit.
there's steps.
Had a rough night
can't
last
just
night with
say
the
no.
baby, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
Had a rough night
Trust
last
me.
night, man.
It
you
is
know,
like the
so-
best. Like it does get you out some stuff. I've abused it. I'm gonna tell her when she's older. Like, hey, thanks for helping me out. You were my escape
I'm
plan.
gonna use you guys as babies.
You can, yeah,
I gotta
anytime,
babysit
right?
you.
It's like, I gotta babysit.
Sorry, I
you know.
gotta
I
drill
got this Terrell's
some
baby.
babies,
Terrell's
baby.
daughter's coming over
Yeah.
tonight. It's it's a thing. Man. I'm
I'll
sorry,
cover
guys.
for you.
It's a thing. Yeah.
That's so funny, man. But
Anyway, back to the bottles of wine. How many did you have?
I mean, like I said, I was drinking like it'd probably be 2 or 3 bottles a night, you know,
Okay.
and I was like spending way too much money on it too. I was like, damn, I'm going to Publix and
wine
getting
is
bought
cheap,
wine
yeah.
too, you know. I'm like going to the least, like Publix is extra anyway. So, and you know, I'm doing some things, you know, I'm hanging out with people, whatnot, but I'm just not being my best self. And I'm still selling some shirts, doing some events, and going to the events, and I'm like, personality's on. Like you wouldn't even think I just went through that stuff, you know, because it's the switch, right? Like I'm in my mode, you know. I can't be all sad and shit when I'm trying to like put it out the brand out there.
Yeah. Relentless Pursuit. But
Yeah.
you're depressed.
Yeah, you know, like, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I was just like, hey, gotta hit that switch. And you know, time goes by, and then I'm like looking into surrogacy. I was like, screw women, I'm gonna you know, I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy me a baby. You know, like, I'm just gonna be a dad. I'm gonna get a vasectomy and no wives, you know. And then I met Lydia, and so you know, shout out to my woman. She's just been the best thing. I met her February last year, and like I wasn't even at that point, like I wouldn't even go out really out to get drinks with anybody, like in public, like any chicks. And but you know, something is different with the conversation. And I remember getting to the goat in Murfreesboro and I saw her and I was like, oh, and I went to the bathroom and like washed my, I was like, damn, like, wow,
Right, yeah, well,
I'm like nervous.
That's how
You know, I had my good boots on too. I had my, like, you know,
Yeah.
my nice Casey ostrich skin boot. You know, I'm like, these are my good boots. Like, what's going on right now, Joe? And I get back over there and I just looked at her and I was like, just something hit me like a wave. And I was like, it occurred to me like all that chaos, all those called off engagements, all this and that, like all that chaos led me to here. And I just put it all out there. I was like, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is what I do. And we just had great conversation. And she's like, hey, love it all, you know. I don't think she said necessarily like that because I'm into some wild different things in the world, you know.
Yes.
Like I'm like, hey, I go out in the woods and do rituals with my boys. She's like, what?
Like,
okay.
What kind of rituals y'all doing out there? You don't have sacrifices, right? What kind of rituals we talking about?
But she was all on board, and then from then on, it was just like we're like stuck at the hip.
I love
And she did like I was like, dude, this is my best friend, and I was like, I didn't even think you could be best friends with your significant other at the time. I was
Oh,
like,
that's the secret.
yeah, but
that's sauce right there. Baby.
yeah, she's my best friend.
Do
And
you guys also
like
eat
him.
cereal in bed together, like me and my SO?
I mean,
no. Oh,
What'd
okay.
you say? You eat
We
cereal
eat
in bed?
cereal in bed,
What kind of
like
cereal?
just things BFFs do, like best friends do.
You eat cereal.
We keep it.
in
We
bed
change
with
it
your
up.
best friend?
We have
Yeah.
a variety. we
Like
go through.
before Allie, you eat cereal in bed with your best friends?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm
like I don't know.
You?
Like
I thought I
I'm
could
thinking like
recall.
girl
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I ever
sleepovers. Maybe you guys have
yeah, I
different
guess
kind of.
we're not, Terry, we're not.
I always had a
don't look
hard
at me like
time
that,
with the
Terry. It's
word
not
best friend,
happening.
though, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because a best friend to me, I'm like, okay, but I like all my friends, you know, like growing up. And then like,
But you have a best friend.
well,
You have like
Allie
the
is
one,
my best friend.
Yeah, but like excluding her.
Well, I never really like grew up and had like a best friend that I like,
Yeah.
you know, that was the person, the obvious choice, you know, like I had friends, but
None of
I
them
don't
your
know.
favorite?
Maybe I was a loser. I don't know. But I did as an adult. I did
Yeah.
end up, it was a work friend. But we worked together for 5 years and it was somebody who like challenged me and was different than me, but also like, you know, I don't know, like just it's hard to describe, but
That's cool.
someone you connect with really well that also helps you grow, you know? And so I have had a best friend.
Yeah.
And I just don't work there anymore. So I don't see him as much.
Who's the best friend?
But I mean, we're still on good terms and like I'm happy and satisfied with where, you know, we are in that season kind of ending and going our own ways. But
Sometimes there's just
best
seasons
friend
for
is
people.
like I don't just throw it out there, you know, like oh, you're my best friend. You're my best friend. You're my best friend.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people
Allie
do
is
that
your
too.
best friend?
Yes,
Yes.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Well, it's like saying I love everybody, you know, like you can't love everybody. And,
Right.
you know, not everybody's gonna be your best friend either.
Right.
You're just gonna,
Yeah.
but you know, it's just
Yeah, and Allie's the first relationship I've had where like I actually like don't mind being together all the time.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
obviously space and like alone time is important and we do that, but you know, I don't feel like I'm like
What-
can I be by myself? Okay,
Yeah,
bye.
if you want to, if you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, it's important to like them.
Yeah.
Like, outside of,
Yeah,
like,
I'd say so.
outside the bedroom, I enjoy spending time with my wife. Like, hey, this us, let's go rock. Like,
Yeah.
Forget the baby. Like, fuck that kid.
Well, it's a good thing that you
forget
guys
that kid.
are
Like, this is us. Let's go rock. Right? Like,
Yeah,
it's
that'd be
just
all
me.
right.
Yeah, just drop
The dogs
her
will
off.
watch her.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, like it's literally like that sometimes
Yeah.
because like I like her, and I always say like I like her in real life, and you probably would get this like a lot as well. Like you realize, and you probably as well, but you realize people are in relationships with people they don't like, or people are married to people that they don't really like for real. It's just like a
I've done that,
commitment. Like I'm just here because we got kids, or I'm just here because we got a business together, or I'm just but they don't like them for
It
real.
happens
Like
a lot.
yeah,
well, look at divorce. I mean, most people settle, and I don't like to put it. I mean, that's the truth, though.
truth,
Like,
yeah.
because I almost settled a few times, so
Well,
I
and
know.
that's why when you like called it off, like what was it, like a month and a half before the wedding, like your first reaction would be like, "Oh my God, why would you do that? You broke her heart." But at the end of the day, you actually saved her from and yourself from being married to the wrong person.
Yeah.
and
What if we would have had
being in
kids
that
together and stuff, and
situation.
it's just been this? Yeah, like at the end of the day, like there's the right person for us, and like
Right.
I met that person. Like had I not like had that well, had that screenshot not get sent, you know, I wouldn't have met Lydia. And then, you know, and Lydia's just like, you know, the day I met her, I was like, I'm going to be the most, like, I went and I brought her coffee the next day. I was like, just so you know, like any chick I was talking to, I'm not talking to them anymore. I cut them off.
She's like, why?
She's like, what?
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I felt like it was important because I was very honest with her. Like I told her everything about me. Like I could do that. I was just very honest. I tell everything now. Like we had that kind of relationship. Like there's not judgment. She's been through some pretty tough stuff, even not too long prior to that. And she just like, that's all she wants is some honesty and like, you know, to feel safe and loved. And so I told her that. And I was like, man, this person makes me want to be the most honorable man I can be. And so from like then on, I was like, I'm going to live my life with honor. And, you know, she was a massive inspiration for that. She brings out the best of me. And, you know, moving forward too with the brand, you know, I was like at a standstill. I was like, well, it's called Relentless Pursuit, but I'm just selling shirts out of a freaking house, like guest bedroom. Like that doesn't work. And opportunity came up to get a building, and actually with somebody else that was going to run their stuff out of there. That fell through with them, but that seed was planted. You know, I was like, I still want a building. You know, and I told her, I was like, hey, babe, I want to get a space, and I want to grow, but like, I'm gonna have to put all my money into it. And she was like, I believe in you, go for it. And so shortly after, I signed a lease and got a space. I've been in my space. Just the grand opening was pretty much just a year ago, like exactly last August. And
you had mentioned too, that jumped out at me that you were in a relationship prior where it felt like it wasn't a belief in you. It was like a be safe kind of route.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And like, that's just not me in general.
Well, and it's also not that person's relentless pursuit. It's yours.
Exactly.
Know? So it's like, yeah, there might be there's risk in everything that's worth doing, but that's awesome. But she's no hesitation.
Like, zero hesitation. Like she was never like, oh, well, think this through, you know, just her and then my family too. And like back to my parents are awesome. I mean, you know, I was even going to get another motorcycle and then I slept on it. And this is like right after I could start walking again. I was like ordering one, like custom made. And then I slept on it. And then I just made a choice. I was like, no one's telling me how to live my life, but I'm not going to put my mother and stuff through that again. Yeah. You know, and like I can put that behind me. Yeah. You know, and then moving forward, I got myself in like I was like, well, I'm going to bare knuckle box in the woods and do all this other crazy stuff that hasn't tried to kill me. And that, you know, so I found other risks, but I like doing stuff like that. You know, I like a little bit of chaos in that way. And
where does one find like a community that bare knuckle fights in the woods?
Oh man, this is a whole other podcast.
Rule number one, Sam.
Because you can't just hop on Facebook.
You don't talk about Fight Club.
That's true.
Rule number one,
right,
Sam. We don't talk about.
This is a whole other podcast.
We'll talk about that when the mic goes off.
There's videos out there, but yeah.
Man, we kind of came up to the brand, and we want to kind of pause because you got not just merch, you have a gym as well, you have a podcast of your own as well. Talk about like making the transition from kind of being, because you kind of almost strike me as a introverted extrovert, like to be by myself, but I can flip the switch when I need to. Talk about like being on camera, because that's a completely different persona, right? So now you're leading a pretty successful podcast from what I've seen. Merch is doing well, the gym is doing well. Kind of talk about now being the face of the brand. Even with, you know, like your personality, if I'm right about
no, you're actually as funny as you're 110% right. Like I am very introverted. Like when I'm working, if there's a bunch of people there, I don't like to be disturbed. I won't get anything done if I am disturbed, and it's just my nature. Like I can't. I've got to be able to focus. There's oftentimes I go sit at a coffee shop, put my headphones in, and just work from there. You know, I really do enjoy my alone time. You know, it's when my girl and I, like, we actually do get a free weekend, let's just hang out, because we got a lot going on in life, you know, and I'm working 15, 16 hours a day on average, you know, and it's always on go. So I do really look forward to that time just to kind of like, all right, get away from people. There's nothing against them. That's just
gotta recharge.
I operate well there, you know what I'm saying? Just like when I'm by myself. And the thing is though, but like having to turn it on and be on the podcast and whatnot, I think I've learned how to just tune out the stuff like that. Like at the end of the day, these cameras are watching, but I'm just engaged with this individual and their story. And like, I want to talk to them, and you just kind of learn how to just get comfortable and have a good conversation with them. Oh, something happened. Oh, okay. So, you just learn how to have a good conversation, and then you just kind of tune that stuff out. And I think you just force yourself to improve in that aspect. Like, hey, this is my space. I'm not going to be throwing myself out there constantly. I'm trying to figure out how to like make content, like you probably do with your fitness stuff. Like I've been I train people. I've been learning, figuring out how to. I've been trained. I got some great clients.
Yeah, no, we got it. Yeah,
I'm checking everything.
He's like, there's some paper down there. Well, we're supposed to say breaking news right here, guys, but we never got to that. He's like, hey, he needs something from you down there.
I do want to say I needed to hear a whole bunch of that, but we are now. I really would love to keep talking to Joe.
Yeah,
I would love to keep talking to you because you have such a hell of a story, and it's really doing a lot for me right now. So we're probably going to continue our conversation off the air. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
But that just means you have to find Joe online at where can we find you?
Yeah, so relentlesspursuitlifestyle.com. We got the video on there so we can get the merch and the training and get led into the podcast. But also at Relentless Pursuit Relentless_Pursuit on Instagram. We got the Relentless Pursuit _headquarters Instagram. And then you can find me at TN_SweetP_.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'll tell you about that nickname.
Yeah, as Jarrell always says, what is one thing that you would like to leave our listeners today?
I was thinking on this, and I didn't want to piggyback off anybody like in past ones, but very much so like just keep pushing forward. There's going to be things that come up. Don't take a step back. All you got to do is sidestep, pivot, whatever you got to do, but you just keep moving forward. And, your dreams are only unrealistic if you allow them to be. So,
yeah, you are in control of that.
Yeah.
I like that you said sidestep too, because I once was talking to a boss. He's not my boss anymore, but he was a, very helpful person in my life. And I was like, I feel like I'm going backwards. At some point, it was like, you're never going backwards. That doesn't happen. You're just think of it going sideways.
Yeah.
You're just stepping over to the side a little bit, and it's a chance for you to kind of open up and kind of see what you have to work with. Yeah. So that's a good way to put it, because backwards is not fun. Sideways is fun. All right. So now we bring to you our portion of the show called Stretch Your Intellect, from our sponsors, Stretch Zone and Franklin. And this is where we learn some fun stuff. So Jarrell gets one and I get one. I made him go first last time.
I feel like you picked mine though.
Oh, I didn't.
You sure? No, that's cool. No, he's good.
I didn't. I was just saying it too. Yeah. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. The world's oldest customer complaint dates back to Mesopotamia. I said that right because I went to school. I went to 7th grade.
I'm glad we didn't switch. I'd have been like
Mesopotamia around 1750 BCE. A customer named Nanny, Nanni, wrote a complaint on a clay tablet expressing his dissatisfaction with the quality of copper ingots, likely a spear is what an ingot is, that he received. What did they do about it? Kill him? Probably. It's Mesopotamia in the BC. Like, you complain about your spear? Bye.
Yeah. Screw you. You don't like this?
Or like, who are you complaining to? The person who made it? They're probably complaining to.
Right. I just know how to use it. Let me
like
show you how
complaining at that point in time about like dying at the age of like 14. So because they have copper spears.
It's always one thing to complain about, right? Actually, my spear doesn't work.
But I got a world of other problems, and it's fine. Just fix this spear. Wow. Okay.
Terry's so impressed with himself. He's so happy right now. He's like, finally. Did you know the inventor of the frisbee turned himself into a frisbee?
What?
Yeah, he had his ashes mixed into the plastic used to make a frisbee.
All right.
Did they throw it? Did they play with it?
I don't know.
Yeah, where is that frisbee?
Yeah, is it like just hanging up on the wall, like at his kid's house or something?
I really like these.
Someone's golden retriever.
Just shaking it around. That's granddad. Yeah, that's granddad. Stop.
No, don't throw that one to anything without getting it out of the dog's mouth. Oh God.
Yeah, that was.
I really was proud of his circle
Yeah.
invention.
I mean,
I mean, it's a great
Would
little
you,
frisbees all over the
toy.
place.
would you, cremate yourself and put yourself into the brand? Make yourself into like a
I do want to be cremated because
do.
I find that
put
by
yourself inside of a
That's
slam
my
by
bag.
being
preference.
cremated, your soul
Haven't
leaves the
thought
body,
that
right?
far ahead.
You don't think it does when you are buried?
No.
No?
I think it's like you're trapped. So
What happened? Oh
by
yeah,
bur-
no, I don't want to be in a
by
box.
burning, by your body burning, your soul gets freed.
Okay.
It's not necessarily like who knows if that's fact or not. It's
Right. It's
something-
kind of like a
mindset,
it's
I
an
believe.
Irish wedding or Irish funeral. What's it called? Like when they shoot the arrow down the river?
yeah.
Oh,
You
and
know
they
what I'm
they
talking about?
like that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Scandinavia and stuff like that.
Like a Viking
like,
kind of
Like I
thing,
know
yeah.
they did it in Troy, like Viking funerals. What it's
Mhm.
called. Like I know they did. It
I
in
watched
Troy,
Vikings.
and
Burn on
you
the
had to-
pyre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to burn.
Yeah.
I would have it put in like so. My buddy's, I got this little piece of iron, and my buddy's, his friend makes little things like this,
Yeah,
and
that's
he
cool.
makes these little hammers. And their buddy killed himself, and they took his ashes, and his friend like basically made a bunch of these little amulets for them, and his
Wow.
ashes are in them. So they
Oh,
all
wow.
like their little friend group has that, and I was like, that'd be something cool to do.
Yeah.
That's
You
cool.
know what I'm
A
saying?
frisbee is
Like,
a little
that's
weird,
pretty
but,
meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The guy invented it.
Burning kind of, I don't know. Just in case. shit
Well, you're
don't
not
work-
gonna feel it.
Just in case it don't work out here. I don't want to burn twice.
Chiseled chocolate's gotta last forever.
That's kind of where I was like, hey, I may think, and then you're like, hey, nah, actually, you're,
Wait, okay, here's
you're
a
going
question.
downstairs, buddy.
Well, no, I probably shouldn't. We're talking about funerals and death.
It's fine.
No, man, I was
Yeah.
Open
like,
casket or no?
For me,
Yeah, if you're gonna be buried in a
oh,
box.
that's up to my wife.
okay.
Yeah, because I plan to die before she does. That's up to my wife and my daughter. But not they.
Well, you're gonna
want
put
to
that
see
pressure on her?
Yeah, because I'm dead. I'm not gonna see it. Like if it's
But they're alive. It's fine.
if it's somebody that I love, like when my mom passed, it's
Yeah,
closed.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I didn't go to the viewing, none of that, because I know
Yeah.
like that was my girl, and I
Be
know
rough.
like it's.
I've
like,
had a hard time. I've
it
been to
fin- It
two.
finalizes it. It's like, oh
Yeah.
no, I really
It's
see
just
her.
very hard, like
Yeah.
eerie.
Yeah,
to
like
see
even
the person
seeing her
that you know so
just
well.
stiff,
Yeah.
lifeless. I couldn't do that, especially like a parent, right? Because like I was trying to explain to my wife, it's like she's been the one steady staple in my life. Like before day one, right?
Mhm.
Till now, like she's always been in my life,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
so now you remove that, and there's a huge void that nothing
Absolutely.
can fill.
yeah.
So me walking into the funeral home and like seeing her like there but lifeless, I don't think that
Yeah.
like the funeral was fine. The hardest part of the funeral, and I kind of avoided it, was looking at her picture
Mhm.
at the like burial, right? Like nope, not gonna look at it. I was just
Yeah.
kind of drift off somewhere
Yeah.
else
Yeah.
to make it through. So that's why I said it's up to her. Like if she's like, oh, we want to, whatever, then that's up to them. Me, if it's somebody else that I love, like nah, I don't,
Yeah.
because I'm emotional.
Well, Joe and I are
Yeah,
getting
I'm
burnt
emotional.
up. So
Yeah. Well,
Man.
Are you?
yeah, have you
That
thought about what
look warm?
urn you'd want to be in? Oh,
Well,
why are we
you-
talking about
picked
this?
out
We
an
shouldn't
urn?
have.
Sam, what's going on?
I think this podcast is about
I got
urn.
it picked out.
I'm gonna call Allie.
That's
and
what
just
I'm talking
tell her-
about.
tell her
Somebody's
to do
thought about
a
it.
wellness check when you get
I want to
home.
be put in a
Like,
Barbie dream house. Okay, thank you guys so much. You are enough. Thank you guys so much for joining us on today's episode of the NFM podcast. We had such a great time talking to you, Joe. This is Joe Adams with Relentless Pursuit. I am Sav, and
I am D. Jarrell Webb. We'll see you guys next time, baby.
Thank you.
all right, see you then.